TV. It's now time for our first discussion. Like we said earlier, we shall be looking at security in the FCT, particularly during the Eid celebration at Eid-El-Kabir, or what is known as the big Salah. We have so much deployment during the Eid prayer and also at some of the recreational centers here in the FCT. And probably those who are away from Abuja may not really know why we enjoy so much peace, even though there are still pockets of issues, especially in some suburb of the FCT. But I have someone from the FCT now who will be speaking to us on what was done so far and what will be done going forward in terms of insecurity in the FCT. He is the Secretary, FCT Command and Control Center, Dr. Peter Olumuji. Good morning to you.
Good and nice to have you me here.
Yes, and happy holiday to you. I know you did not rest throughout the period of the holidays.
Well, it's part of the service to humanity and our fatherland.
Okay, please take us through the Eid arrangement for security in the FCT. We were with you on Sunday, on the first day of Salah, and we saw the deployment of security. For those who may want to know how the command operates during the holiday period, take us through your system.
Yes, first of all, I want to wish our Muslim Ummah Barakah Salah again, because I know some are still celebrating today. And the peaceful celebration we've enjoyed so far in the FCT is as a result of good security planning and management. You don't start planning for effective security and safety on the day of the event. It has taken place before now, and you know the Commissioner of Police, FCT, is the head of the security agencies, and it was greatly supported by all relevant security agencies in the FCT. And before now, there have been a lot of measures that were in place. Raids were conducted in known criminal hideouts. A lot of raids, most of these Babambola colonies, which live in illegal settlements and shanties, were removed, you know. And all these things are just preludes to the big day, which is the Salah Day celebration. Because the concern of the Honorable Minister, FCT, Barrister Nyesom Wike, is that the Muslim faithful must enjoy the Salah celebration with no threat to their lives and property. And every other resident of the FCT who decide to celebrate here must also enjoy a peaceful celebration. And that is what the Commissioner of Police took out there, and he ensured that proper security planning and management was carried out. And the success story is what the FCT residents saw since Sunday that the Salah started up till now that we are talking.
But you cannot rule out some elements who may want to foment some kind of trouble during the period. Were there any records?
Yes, you know, naturally some criminal elements will want to come and test the water, you know, but knowing fully well that the type of security measure that have been in place is not something they could just break into. So most of them just decided to leave Abuja totally to go and celebrate their Salah or carry out their nefarious activities somewhere else. FCT was peaceful. We never recorded any untold incidents against those who were celebrating. But you should know that when you talk about crime and criminality, there's no way you can unplug it 100%. There are still pockets of one or two incidences, not major incidences, but just maybe normal incidences within community. You know, when two people fight themselves, it can become a criminal. You see, we recorded incidents of some people doing what they are not, well, they ought not to do, but that did not majorly affect the safety and security of the entirety of the FCT residents.
Okay, let's look at coordination of security agents, where we realize that during the Eid prayer, so many security agencies were together, both those on the road, traffic officers were also there. Take us through the coordination of your center, ensuring that you have this synergy between all the security agencies, particularly during this period?
Yes, when you look at the, like you just observed rightly, the security agencies work in the highest level of synergy. You have the visible security elements, and you have those who are undercovered also. You know, you have the police, you have the DSS, you have the civil defense in the security planning. Then you also have the traffic management team, which is the Directorate of Road Traffic Service, and also the Federal Road Safety Corps. You also have the emergency arm that were placed on standby. We're talking about the FCT Fire Service team and the FCT emergency management team in case there's any emergency issue. Then you also have those who were handling the border post, the perimeter of the FCT, that's the border communities, which is the military. You know, they are there ensuring that the mountainous areas and the border communities are fully secured. So all this is, like I said, is effective security planning and management that was put on the table by the Commissioner of Police with synergy with all other relevant head of security agencies. And one good thing about the FCT is that the security agencies work in good synergy at every point in time. Nobody is trying to show above the other person. You know, they're always ready to ensuring that the primary aim of administration anywhere, which is security, you know, is always maintained. And the synergy have been wonderful, and the FCT minister commend them for this.
All right, looking at the FCT security architecture, some persons who want to argue with your points that your concentration is always in the high-brow centers, city centers. There's no much of activities going on in the suburb. We realized that some few days ago, let's use Papi for instance. We're hearing of cases where hoodlums attack pedestrians, probably during the daytime or the night, snatching phones from them. Even there are some who even break into people's home in suburb, and not much of police presence is being felt in most of these suburb areas.
No, when you talk about the presence of the security agencies are not felt at the suburb, I want to disagree with that, because when it comes to policing entails everybody hand to be on deck. One thing you should know, okay, for example, let me give you a practical example. Just some few days ago, some criminal elements tried to infiltrate into Abaji Area Council to rob a certain bank there. And you saw the strictness in which the security agencies collaborated and brought that attack down. And arrests were made of those who wanted to perpetrate it. That shows that if there was no good security architecture or network at the suburb, that particular attack would have been carried out effectively and succeeded. But they never succeeded. That is just a tip of the iceberg. Now, when you talk about the general suburb, you are looking at Kuje Area Council, you are looking at Abaji, you are looking at Buhari, you are looking at Kwale. What the security agencies have done is that once you are able to keep your perimeter safe, then there's no way at the city center you have a major issue. And that is what the Commissioner of Police on a day in, day out was doing. He was patrolling and raiding those going around the mountainous area, the border communities, to ensuring that all these criminal elements that want to come in through that access into the FCT were subdued. Again, you should also know that if somebody comes into your room, maybe your child goes into your kitchen and steals a meat inside your pot, you will not come and start blaming everybody for that, you know. So what am I trying to say in essence? Security in the city center was effectively handled and covered. Security at the border communities too, because that is why you could say, as we are seated here, that there will be no any reported case of any untold incident within the other area councils. What does that imply? That implies that as you have tight security within the city center, the same thing were also replicated at the border communities and all those places. So if you talk about somebody coming to collect phone on somebody going on his way, at times most of these incidences that you see are just some young boys trying to play smart on themselves. But there's no major, because we're in contact with all the divisional police officers. I must tell you that the success story, most of the time, we come to tell you here. When I tell you one, there are other 20 that will not say out. Because there's no way you can come and give detail about your entire success story, so that you will not give room for the criminal elements to be able to use that. So whenever you see we're telling you one success story, you should know that we have 30 more that we are not even telling you about. And this is made possible because some people decided not to sleep, and those are the security agencies. So we must give it to them. And again, like I made mention of, in policing, the residents too must play their own parts. You cannot leave everything to the law enforcement agent alone. And that is why the popular adage says, when you see something, you will say something.
All citizens during
People
the
just take one incident that is not it and try to blow it over the social media. Social media, just like the incident that happened at Dawaki attempted kidnap. On the social media space, there was a lot of negative narration about that incident. But the Commissioner of Police have come out to say, look, it was just an attempted kidnap incident. Nobody was kidnapped at Dawaki. But what you heard is that over 30 people were kidnapped. Some people came into Dawaki and spent hours and nobody. Again, we should also use this medium to address the FCT residents. Before you could build any house in the FCT, you must get approval from development control. But some of these people go to close to the mountainous area to erect structures there without proper approval from development control. And some of these bad guys that come from the mountainous area to attack these people is because they saw that lacuna. So we want to warn anybody that is coming into FCT that wants to erect structure, you must go through the proper channel. Let us not make the job more difficult for the security agencies, then we start to blame them at the end of the day. You know, so that is one advice we want those coming into the FCT to take. FCT is a planned urban center, and we must ensure that things are done right. If we want good security, we must play our part. We cannot just be blaming the security agency when they are not sleeping. Then we do the wrong thing and want to blame them for the piece of meat that was stolen inside in our own house in the kitchen. You know, so let
most persons will tell you that crime is local, something that happened within you. But most times when you do your raids in town, I don't know whether you profile some of those criminals either you chase away from those areas or arrest them, because it seems they migrate. By the time the city center is so hot for them, they migrate to the urban center. I keep coming back to the urban center because most times we interface with our citizens and they tell us that this is what they face. You keep seeing strange faces coming back into their areas to perpetrate crime. How often do you check up on these areas where you raid some of those criminals that's probably left those places to other areas?
You know one thing about urban crime, if you look at the FCT is still work in progress. And more people are migrating into the FCT. Now, whenever you see us carry out raids of black spots and the rest, one good thing the police do is that they profile every individual that were apprehended. Those that have that don't have any criminal tendency are cleared. Those that have criminal tendencies, they go on to prosecute them. In fact, they've caught a lot of criminals with that rate of black spot, and this has been it has been a sustained effort by the FCT Police Command. That is number one. Number two, when you are talking about profiling people within your community, and that's why I talked about policing is not all about the law enforcement agents alone. That is where we always talk to our traditional institution and our religious leaders to play a part. Because most of these people, as they come into such community, they reside somewhere. You have people who have been in that community and know the strangers coming in. Whenever you see somebody coming into a community or somebody coming to your place to rent an apartment, You as the landlord, you are meant to play your own role by asking questions, knowing what the occupation the person is into. Not just somebody coming to you because your house is, for example, now 500,000 per annum, and you are just after the financial gain and not bother to care about what that person is doing. That is part of the profiling we are talking about. So the profiling cannot just be left to the hand of the security agencies alone. We too, the traditional institution, the religious bodies and the rest, people come to your religious houses and make donations. Do you ask questions about such donations? Somebody that you know is not gainfully employed is giving you some amount of money that, and you just decided to pray for such a person without asking any question. That is part of the profiling we are talking about. So when you talk about profiling, it comes in different dimensions. You have the security people profiling criminals that have been apprehended. You also have the traditional institutions, the traditional chiefs that people come to rent houses in their community and they are seeing there. They can also put a measure in ensuring that they are able to profile these people coming to their community. And even in the various religious houses too, the religious leaders too can profile their members and know more about them. When all of us do this collectively, then we realize that those with criminal tendencies will be able to be fished out and the needful will be done.
I want us to look at the issue of one chance robbery. It seems to have reduced somehow in the FCT. Before now, that was the major crime in Abuja, where people are being robbed through that one chance transportation system. What was put in place, or what did your command do to see that we have a reduction in that area? Yes,
we'll give that success story also to the effort of the Commissioner of Police Safety, CP Ben Igwe MNI. You know, he has this popular saying that he says, if he wants to kill a fly, he decides to use a sledgehammer to kill a fly. And somebody will ask, why would you use a sledgehammer to kill just a fly? He says so that fly will not have anywhere to go to again. Now, when he came on board, he talked about these issues of incidences of one chance. And he labeled them, he said there's nothing that is called one chance. It is, well, armed robbery. And once you label them like that, then you treat them as such. And there have been a hot pursuit on them. You know, we have the anti-one chance squad under the FCT police command, and this squad have been doing a marvelous and wonderful job. In fact, in recent times, people have been arrested that are even couples that are into this one chance syndicate. And because now they realize that FCT is too hot for them to continue to perpetrate their nefarious acts, they just have to leave. They just have to leave. Because a lot of arrests have been made on a daily basis. And do you know, once a place is very hot, naturally you don't expect those who are perpetrating that criminal act to be there. Because we take them as armed robbers, not as one chance operators. And once somebody is labeled armed robber, you know what it means. You know, and that is what has brought about this success story of a reduction in the incidences of one chance. Then again, it's not just reducing it. We also want to encourage the residents as they go about to board vehicles, the motoring public, to also be vigilant. In the next few days, the FCT administration is going to be commissioning some transportation hub, which will also bring about safety, transportation safety in the FCT. Now, we want to discourage people from just boarding vehicle anywhere. Let us use the approved taxi ranks and the approved taxi parks in the FCT. Yes, we know that we've not gotten there fully, but gradually the Minister of FCT, the transportation sector is one sector that he's passionate about. And very soon we are going to be seeing rolling out most of this mass transportation system. So all these things will bring about a safer commuting within the FCT. But the incidence of one chance, like you rightly said, we don't have that number again because the security agencies are up and doing.
Okay. Earlier you talked about the securing borders with other states. I know our correspondent has always been on the team with the CP each time they go to raid those areas, and we see other security agents from other states, for instance, Niger State, Kaduna State, always coming to assist the FCT. Now, in terms of synergy again, I want to go back to the states. This time around, this neighboring state, Kogi and Niger State, where we have so much criminals taking advantage of the forests. Are we having the same structure like we have in the mountainous areas in the FCT in these borders within those states?
First of all, I want to state clearly here that in the FCT, we do not have any criminal camp, either bandit camp or kidnapper camp.
We have thick forests in Abaji and Buhari.
Having thick forests in Abaji, Buhari, and the rest, those are just nature. Nature has bestowed it onto us. And what the Commissioner of Police have done, himself leading the team, is to ensure that he goes into all these mountainous areas and this forestry aspect to ensure that there's a constant raid. As we speak to you, all those border communities have deployment of personnel 24 hours. So that nobody can. And one thing we should also understand is that FCT play a dual role. Number one, FCT is the capital city of our nation. Number two, FCT is the seat of power of our nation. So if anything goes wrong in FCT, it has a ripple effect on other states. And that is why the security of FCT cannot just be taken for granted. And the synergy that have been enjoyed, it is the same police you have in Abuja that you have in Niger State, that you have in Kaduna State. And that is why the police hierarchy, the security hierarchy are giving that marching order that anywhere all these criminal can use to perpetrate, can penetrate into this capital city or even in their state, there should be close collaboration with all relevant security agencies to dismantle them. And that is what has been going on.
All right, as we wrap up this segment, what's your advice to the FCT residents, and especially your response time? Because most persons complain that when they make inquiries or try to report cases, they don't get response on time.
No. Before now, response time was a little bit longer, but I can tell you without fear of missing word that the response time now is 5 minutes. Okay. Whenever there's an incident, reported incident, you see the relevant security agencies coming there. And my advice to the residents of FCT as we are rounding up the Salah celebration is that whenever you see something, you say something so that the security agencies can do something. And also you should take note, make sure you have the emergency number of the police and that of the FCT call center. And when you do all these things, then you get, you also have a platform to report incidences or threat to life as it occurs.
I must thank you so much for your time, Secretary, FCT Command and Control Center, Dr. Peter Olumije. Thank you so much for being on the program.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we'll move over now to Philip in our Benin studio, where he looks at other issues of national interest.